I've been explaining the concept of defensive painting a lot in lessons lately, so I figured it was worth a video. The basic principle of this tactic is pretty simple. Some weapons in Splatoon, like brushes, short-ranged rollers, and certain blasters, have fast kill times, but really short range. Their challenge usually isn't so much winning a fight once they're in range, so much as it is getting in range of the opponent in the first place. As a result of this, these weapons like to sit and hide in their color ink and wait for an opponent to walk by unaware. That way, instead of having to run at a longer ranged opponent who's shooting at them the whole time, they can let the opponent wander into their range for them without ever giving their position away. You'll hear Splatoon players refer to this all the time as sharking. At the beginning of the game, you get to see the weapons the opposing team is bringing, and if you see a sharking weapon, you'll want to take the following measures to keep yourself safe from them. If you're approaching a large body of enemy ink and you don't know where the sharking weapon is right now, assume that it's hiding in that ink somewhere. You'll want to paint this area to make sure they're not there and deny the approach to you, but don't paint it from right at the edge of it, because then you're putting yourself close enough for them to one-shot you. Stand a little further back and paint from there, so if you spring the trap, you'll be able to back up and get away before they do lethal damage. You can also sometimes check with a sub-weapon, maybe putting out a lethal bomb at the edge of the ink to force them back, or scouting them with a torpedo, an autobomb, a point sensor, or toxic mist. Some specials also target players or reveal their locations, so while you probably don't want to waste a special just to check an area to see if someone's there, if you know there's someone in an area that's all painted, it can show you exactly where they are, so you don't have to treat the whole area as dangerous, and you can just target the player directly. The 3D shape of stages causes some extra challenges in finding these sharking weapons. Hiding around a blind corner makes it much more difficult to paint the area where the sharking weapon is hiding, because you don't have line of sight on that spot until you're already around the corner. This makes it important to take wider turns around risky corners. Lots of brushes and rollers like to run away from you until they get around a corner, convincing you to chase them, since they appear to be a disadvantage and not want to fight, only to stop as soon as they're around the corner, turn around, and be right in your face as soon as you follow them around it. If you take the turn narrow, like this, you're right on top of the sharking weapon before you can shoot at them. If you take it wider, you can keep at least a certain amount of distance between you and anything around that corner until you know it's safe to continue advancing. Rotating the camera is valuable for giving yourself information about what's around a corner before you actually go around it. If the corner can't be taken wide, you may at least be able to see what's going on while still staying behind the wall, since the camera is third person and not linked to your Inkling's line of sight like it would be in a first-person shooter. Elevation change can also be used to the advantage of a sharking weapon. Even if you're looking for enemy ink, you may miss some if it's right underneath a ledge. Rollers, blasters, and sloshers especially love sitting under ledges, because they can hit opponents from a position where their opponents can't hit them. If one of these weapons is on the enemy team and they're pushed up to where they could be under a ledge, it's important to stay far away from that ledge, and if you must drop over it, paint or drop a bomb down there before you do, or maybe try to bait out an attack to get the opponent to give away their position if you're feeling brave. If it's safe for them to get up there, and they aren't just going to be shot by an E-leader for trying, sharking weapons also love high ground because it lets them keep the corner of a ledge between them and an opponent until they get close enough to drop on. Paint up over the top of high ground that you're approaching before you try to climb it, so you can be sure it's clear of threats like this. I personally believe this ambush playstyle is difficult to use at top level, as it's very uncommon to see. Coordinated play, of course, makes it easier to track an opponent, but even in high-level solo queue, players are so good at checking their corners and making fast movements across the map while still keeping themselves safe that sharking won't work as often, and it takes you out of the game for too long if it's all you're trying to do. Sharking weapons don't paint well, not just because the weapons themselves tend to be very short range and most of them have low fire rates, but also because their playstyle requires them to hide, and painting would give their positions away. If you can outpaint a team with a sharking weapon, you deny that weapon access to your teammates. It's like bringing a bright lantern into a haunted house, letting you see all the jump scares before they have a chance to spook you. Be the kind of teammate that ruins Halloween for everyone. Just paint defensively, and take the bite out of these monsters under the bed.